Steven Universe, Beach Party, the 18th episode of Steven Universe. Following up an episode like Lion 2, the movie, this episode's always going to feel kind of disappointing, especially when I watch the two back-to-back. Spoilers in this review, by the way. I just feel like after the last two episodes that we got, this episode could have been a little better. Not that it was bad at all. It didn't have that strong connection to the lore that the previous two episodes had, which I guess is good. It gives the audience a breather and a chance to kind of catch up and process everything, which is perfectly understandable. And it is, like I said, it is a good episode. Basically, it starts out the Gems are fighting this giant floating pufferfish thing, and it seems to be a little too much for them because the gusts that it projects are strong enough to even push back Garnet. And they effectively knock it away out into the ocean. Amethyst does, anyway. And they know they're going to have to deal with it later, but they don't go after it. I guess they want to regroup, or they just aren't worried about it, one or the other. But in the meantime, as the battle was going on, Garnet was blasted into town, and she hits the sign for the pizza place in town and angers the pizzas because she's unwilling to either pay for it or repair it. And I have heard people criticize this episode because it really makes the Gems seem like they don't care about the well-being of the people in town, but I don't get that vibe at all. I just feel like they really do believe that what they're doing is more important than dealing with minor collateral damage like a single sign. We have seen them clean up the town when something major happens, so it's not like they don't care at all. Garnet and Amethyst especially don't seem to dislike humans. They just don't really care to clean up their messes when they have better things to do, and the mess isn't that serious. But either way, Steven wants them to make peace with the pizzas because he considers the pizzas his friends, and he wants the Gems to be allowed in the pizza's restaurant, which at this point they aren't. And even though the Gems don't really care that much about it, they do care about Steven, so they go along with it. And they have this beach party where they basically have an on-the-beach barbecue, make hot dogs and burgers and stuff, and just kind of chill out with the pizzas. And this is where the good of the episode really shines through, because the two groups do actually interact really well with each other. They have some negative interactions, but they also have some really positive ones, and get along pretty well for the most part. And while we have gotten some character building for Lars and some of the other teenagers in town, and for Sadie, and for Connie especially as a human character, this is the first time that really any of the other characters that we've kind of seen in the background, aside from like the Fryman, but we haven't really seen that much of them yet either, to be perfectly honest. But here we are actually getting a look into the personalities and the interrelationships between not just other human characters that we haven't really seen explored very often, but a family of human characters in this world. And I think that's really freaking cool. But as they're having their beach party, just as things are actually starting to fall apart, by the way, after this big volleyball match, which is epic, so much fun. I really enjoyed that. The pufferfish shows up again, and they actually manage to coordinate with each other, and the two groups are able to bring down the pufferfish, despite the fact that the crystal gems themselves couldn't actually do it, which I also thought was really cool because it kind of proves something that I've thought about the show for a really long time, that Steven is there to be a bridge between the Gems and the humans because the Gems are actually stronger when they have good relationships with human beings. And I think that's going to actually be a pretty major theme going forward in the show. But I'm not going to talk about that here because I will talk about it in theories going forward. Let's just leave it exactly where I left it and move on. Guys, I really enjoyed this episode. It's not as good as a couple of the previous episodes, but it is significantly better than some of the really early episodes. We don't really learn anything about the lore, but it was still a fun episode to watch, and we do get to know some human characters who hadn't really had much screen time up to this point, and while I consider it about an average episode of the show, I definitely think it's worth watching. But guys, what did you think of this episode? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.